Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive today, we'll tell you why numbers that are retired for a reason, and why. We'll get into more on the NFL draft winners and losers, and a little NCAA football news without the actual football.
Emmitt Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba.
Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trick Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmitt Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. I'm Chad Brilliante. Glad to be with you here as we step one day closer to maybe getting sports back. It is down to the final 2 days until May, and a lot of news today outside of the world of the actual play. But NCAA football is one that a lot of people sat around. They played, created the mascot games, Brutus the Buckeye versus the Stanford Cardinal Tree. Or maybe that was just me playing those. Did you play those mascot games, by the way? Those were fun.
Of course.
Of course. All 99s. Nothing like 99 versus 99 to think that you're going to tackle a guy with a perfect score, and then the guy that has a perfect score runs right over you. It's like when Michael Vick would go against somebody like Dwight Freeney coming around the outside. That was a pretty good matchup back in the 2000 version of Madden. But one thing we do know is that the NCAA, whether they admit or on the surface, it looks like something that has been a good story. Sing Kumbaya by the campfire. There's always a silver lining with the NCAA, and it always comes back to them having control, having power, and having the resources to facilitate. I've always said not one business, especially a business worth billions of dollars, will ever bow down when the product is working and when the people are dictating that it continually will have success. Before the coronavirus, let's get into the numbers of just the game itself. The NCAA was growing in ratings, especially here in the South. Kids were still lined up down the block to try to get a scholarship to a big school. Their coaches and players, and you're around the game. Anybody that's been around the game, nobody is boycotting. There are people picketing, we shouldn't play football. Bo Jackson, one of the greatest. I'm not going to let my son play. That's great. That's your own opinion. That's not the majority of people right now that are saying let's quit football. When people tell you something, like when it comes down to McDonald's, you can say what you want about these Netflix and whatever is coming out of that machine. That looks like ostrich. Well, ostrich tastes good on a dollar menu once in a while when you're having a bad day at work and maybe the paycheck's not as high. Put extra cheese, a couple of dip that ranch. Oh, Try to sell 5 cents extra? Not so fast, my friends. But the opportunity to see that sign that says 1 billion served is telling you, regardless of your opinion, people are lining up to get that product. Same thing with the NCAA. So why would a league that it's already working try to change its whole culture? Then it was outside pressure from the government, where a lot of people don't think the government need to step into sports, from the players, from the mamas, from everybody saying, hey, we're going to start our own league. We're going to do a G League kind of thing like basketball is trying to do right now, and we're going to go whoop right around. Not going to play any college football. And now, today, it sounds like people are saying, wow, the NCAA came around. Look at that. They're going to allow athletes to get paid for their brand, their likeness. Going to get all those big paychecks. Wow, look at this. Lonzo Ball's dad was right from the beginning about nothing. This is something that on the surface looks great, but start to read. Don't read just the headline. Read the whole newspaper because it's not that great. The schools, the NCAA can still control so much in this. And JP, they haven't budged a bit. This is just their way of saying you're okay. You're not grounded anymore. You just can't leave the house. I mean, that's pretty much. You all right, by the way? I know this is tearing you up over there.
Yeah, I thought it was one eye, and then it went to the other one. No, I'm not crying over this NCAA thing.
I know this is a big moment for you right here.
That's what we were just talking about this. I think it's funny just because the NCAA, of course, they're not going to make this vote until January 2021. That's when the final vote comes out. But talking about their, in their annual meeting of what they can do moving forward with the players' likeness and everything, I think it's important when you read this. So understand, don't just read the headline and go, all right, finally, it's out of the bag here. Nothing is set in stone. And I find it funny. Remember the NCAA, like the whole giving seniors another year of eligibility, and then they back out. So everybody goes, wow, that's really great of the NCAA to do this. That's the right thing, yet you screw the schools over because now you have 2 freshman classes, you can have 2 senior classes, things like that, and they give them no more scholarships, which I said from the beginning was going to be a problem. But nonetheless, they look like the good guy in all this on the surface of this. When you dig down, you're like, well, wait a minute, how's that going to work? What about all these other guys? What about the recruits you just had? You just let them go to keep these seniors for 1 year? What about the seniors that have been with you for four years that want to do another year of eligibility here? Like, do you just what happens with all this? And that's where, the same thing here. I think for people that hear that and they see that, read the entire article here. We'll dive more into this. I think it's important. They said the recommendations included significant changes to current restrictions while also leaving room for the NCAA and schools to regulate the types of deals athletes might be allowed to sign in the future and the monetary value of individual contracts. Okay, stop me if I'm wrong on this, but the NCAA is saying that they left plenty of room where they can control, them in the schools, can control the type of deal you get and the money that you get out of that deal. So, did they ever lose control? Are they talking about? No, they're not losing any control here. They can technically deny if that commercial that an auto dealership wants to do for $1 million or things like that. That's where I look at this, and it's not all glittery like the NCAA wants it to paint across there. The NCAA they're never going to give up control. They don't need to give up control. Listen, I'm against players being able to go out and do this unless it's even across the board. That's been my whole thing because I get it, but I've also been a student athlete. I haven't been a superstar. I don't understand what these guys are going through, but I do know they're getting an education. They're getting top-notch nutrition. They're getting to play a game to be able to play at the next level to make as much money as they want to make. All I'm going to say in this is we're forgetting what college is technically about. Now, I'm not going to be ignorant enough to ignore how life has changed, the world has changed, but what I am saying is we're creating a problem that is going to only get bigger if we allow this to happen individually. I'm still not technically for it, period, but I get it if you make it across the board. Say, okay, you know what, everybody's going to get a $2,500 check each month just to take home because we made this amount of money, or $5,000 check, whatever it may be. That's fine, you know what, as long as it's across the board. But what I'm saying is the NCAA did absolutely nothing in saying what they said today other than trying to ease the pressure off.
And look, right now, and you can weigh in on this, 850-623-1330, because there's so many questions this is going to bring up where, think about it, before that Major League Baseball, you can go from high school to the pros, but a lot of times those guys don't develop right away, and it takes them a few years. Now, if it comes to Major League Baseball and NCAA baseball, a lot of these guys are trying to get a scholarship. A lot of guys that decide to go and not do something else with their life but play baseball, they pay out of pocket a lot of times and end up with student loans. Because very few players that play college baseball get a chance to actually get to be in the majors. Very few. I mean, the ones that do decide to go to college, they've already been drafted, and they turn down because they want to get better a few more years and excel, and then they get drafted again. There are multiple drafts that these guys are looked at. The David Price, guys like we saw, big-time pitchers like Puck and all the guys that we've seen over the years, these guys are looked at throughout the years. Bryce Harper, Southern Nevada Community College. But the difference is they don't get paid a thing for their brand and likeness, not because people aren't rushing to play NCAA baseball. It's in the game. Be like, wait, is it going to bring back like J.D. Drew with the old Mike Martin here on the side? Like, what are we going to do? Nobody's rushing to play that. MLB The Show is making a lot of money. NCAA football makes a ton of cash. Now, for football, though, these guys that decide to go will get a scholarship. And not only will they get a scholarship, they're also going to be treated like royalty. They still do have an opportunity to go elsewhere. What people don't understand is the rule is not you cannot get paid after high school. The rule is you cannot be in the NFL until 3 years removed after high school. They can go to Europe and play in some league or sign autographs and sign babies' foreheads for 3 years over there, being like, you know who I am? I'm Vandergriff, Brock Vandergriff, Brock the Hawk, baby. Was going to go to Georgia, but you should know me. I'm gonna throw footballs to your kids out here by the park. Give the guy $25. Like, people can still make those choices for themselves, and I understand people are talking about they're going to get paid for their brand and likeness, and I've always said from day one, I have no problem with the guys like Jameis, the guys like Johnny Manziel. It just so happens that everybody I'm using as a reference, people are like, why are we putting more money in these guys' hands? Jameis, Johnny, all of these guys, Tim Tebow, their brand was worth so much money to the school that I don't have a problem. And for the people going, well, what about the backup offensive tackle that can't get paid? Well, tough apples. That's called life. We're not doing documentaries right now on AC Green over Magic Johnson or Kobe. We're not doing documentaries on Bill Wennington or Will Perdue over Michael Jordan. Well, why didn't I get a documentary? Because you're Will Perdue. The difference here is people need to understand that they're still getting paid pretty much for the necessities of what they do. It costs $51,000 per year for an athlete to go out there and play college football, and room, board, books, food. These guys eat well. And these players in the G League, to flip it over for basketball, they think for 2 seconds that by going to the G League, and the top ones, when you talk about Nix, who just made the decision not to go decommitted to UCLA and is going to take the G League path, even if he gets the big enchilada, the $500,000, once you start looking at him now having to pay his own travel, his own food for the most part outside of whatever the G League gives him. But the life he's going to have to live, no, not much at all. He's going to have to find his own rent, his own house. He's going to have to probably dress pretty nice to keep up with these other athletes that are maybe veterans of the league that got sent down for a couple seasons.
Uncle Sam takes half of that, by the way.
Uncle Sam already takes half. And then on top of that, he's not going to get the education as a backup plan if it doesn't work out. Doesn't have the diploma up there. He also... And even if he doesn't worry about it, let's put that sadly in the back burner if you're this good, if you're a five-star athlete that's taking this path. Once you start breaking down how much it's going to cost, he's going to need travel, so he's probably going to have to now get a car, unlike what he would have got on that $20 million when he goes pro. Once you start breaking that down, these numbers are going to be sitting there at about $100,000 left. So, and that's not paying your agent. That's not paying for a ton of stuff that you're going to have to get.
What's $100,000 anywhere, though? I mean, even, okay, let's just say California, $100,000, you're on the poverty line. New York, places like that. Now, down here, $100,000, you're making that a year, then, yeah, you're doing okay for yourself, obviously. But let's look at this. Look, a guy wants to go do that. The money looks great, and he doesn't want to go to college. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But let's not act like this is the second coming of Jesus on this. Like, people are going, oh, look, there's another guy going right there to the G League. Look, I will always be for college. I love the dynamics of it. I love the for a player, what better atmosphere, period. Just overall, you're talking. You make a great point when you talk about the signing bonuses these guys, if they're getting drafted and things like that. If you're not good enough, you're going to go to college to prove yourself. When you're talking about the top athletes, listen, you go for a year. Then you go and you get drafted in the NBA. You make that big money because you put it off for a year. You go to the G League, they're going to put you in a developmental league for a minimum of a year. A minimum of a year. And you're making peanuts when you really break it down by hour. That's the thing is, if you really want to break this down, I'm not going to, look, I'm not the one doing it, so go do whatever you want. But let's not act like this is the next thing here. Let's just, look, I think it's perfect because the G League is good because we were losing some of these players to Europe, to Serbia, all these other places, Australia. They're going over there to those leagues and getting paid. I think it's a good move. But I do have a complete disagreement when people are talking about, yep, see, no big athletes are going to ever go back. They're not going to college. They're going to go play in the G League. Buddy, hang on, because I can tell you right now, college basketball has done itself a tremendous favor each and every year. They've done such a good job with everything, putting athletes in every single year. And these guys don't have to go for 4 years. They don't have to go for 3 years. They don't have to go for 2 years. Like, this is something that's set up for them when you talk about it. How many guys, when you look at Calipari and his crew, he has to re-recruit an entire team every single year because those guys go to the NBA draft.
Yeah.
Like, so tell me that right there, that you are one of the top prospects, top recruits, whatever it may be. You can go to the G League, or you have the potential to go to Kentucky, Kansas, one of these, you name it, Duke, whatever school you want to, really. And if you're good enough for 1 year, you're going to get drafted anyway. Not only that, though, you prove your worth. You prove how much that you're worth to these guys. To me, the money, it's not enough money. It's just not. Half of that, like I said, is going to be taken from Uncle Sam, and then everything else that goes involved with that. So $250,000, what are you truly going to do with that? Let's just, you put in an investment plan, it's not very much money. That's where you wave a couple dollar bills here. Yeah, it looks all good on the surface, but think about the long term in this. You spend 1 year in a developmental league, or you can go 1 year and compete your butt off, playing at the highest level, playing in the NCAA tournament. The journey. To me, it's all about the journey. I'm a big journey person. Look, I went to UWF. I went over to University of Mobile. It was a journey for me. It was different. I loved the atmosphere. I went to these tryouts for MLB. I got invited to the ones in Tuscaloosa and things. I went over here with rookie ball and looking and saw how that stuff was. The journey is what's most important. It's not for everybody. But when I look at this for the G League, like for these guys doing this, it doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe somebody can let us know.
No, you're right. And when you say UWF, you actually were in Ultimate Warrior fighting.
That's what. Yeah,
exactly. The eye black and the this got out of hand too. They would actually have to go to a black screen. The whole thing of throwing things like swords and bats into the ring. There was no hands barred. What was this? Some city in Brazil? Is this?
I can't say.
Is this public knowledge? I was going to say.
I never mentioned it overall, but
I was just going to say.
I apologize.
The things I've had to do for you in the back of the truck.
I may not make it through the show. I may have somebody come after me.
Still thinking you have to wipe your hands. We've been wiping off our hands.
I'm just going to say that.
They still feel dirty.
Just the G League is not. It's not going to ruin college basketball.
No, it's not. And they're not going to be handing out flyers. They're not going to be handing out flyers to everybody. This is something where there's going to be maybe 15 to 20 guys getting a look at it, and they're going to realize that money is going to go away, and they're not going to develop. Look, the whole entire we tried this once. We focus on the LeBrons, the Kobe Bryants, the ones that did work out. But think about it truthfully. A lot of Bulls fans out there. If Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler would have got to go to college for at least a year and develop their game, their careers could have been different. Now, Tyson was a role player for a solid time, but there are so many guys. Jonathan Bender was down here. I had a chance to talk to him when he was over here at the Pensacola Beach Hilton. He's selling some supplements, and it seems a nice guy, but that guy had a 7'8" wingspan and could dunk out of the roof. Got the wrong advice. Robert Swift, 5th pick. He had a grenade launcher and was sitting at the door as a whole entire SWAT team in Seattle was about to break into his meth lab. Because he didn't have the right advice, he was thrown right into being an adult and a grown-up. The media in your face. The things that colleges do to keep kids safe. When Mike Gundy says, I'm a man. I'm 40 with that mullet. Now he's about 52. But when he made that comment, college will protect their athletes for the most part. When they get out in the real world, it's to be savages. And a lot of these 19-year-old kids can't control it. And you end up having a ball after thinking Big Baller Brand was going to be cool, end up playing in Lithuania and getting booed. Things happen like that, and we can't control it. But sending a bunch of kids at 18, 19 years old into the real life And these guys traveling every week to big cities and don't think they're going to, when all these ladies and people are throwing themselves and right at them, and because now they have $500,000 and it's public news, whether you're Knicks or any of the guys like Caleb Love, whoever you are out there, you don't think that things are going to start happening. And when that girl wants that sweet ring for 6 figures, a couple more carats out there, baby, you don't think that they're going to look and say, you can't use that excuse, man. I'm just a college kid, man. I can't do that. You're going to get me in trouble. I don't got happy from blue chips. Come on, man. A little bit different today. People need to understand that it looks great on the surface, but it isn't always that great. And we will get back into this. I want to go ahead and take a quick...
I just want to say one thing, and I'll be done.
No.
Remember, college...
No. I said no.
College is a controlled environment.
And this is too, and I said no.
Well, I'm just college kidding. Is a controlled environment. These guys are watched over there. They're raised up to build themselves up because, remember, these are 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. When I was 17 years old, 18, you don't make the greatest decisions. You're still learning about life.
35.
You're still learning, especially when you think about it. When you get out of mom and dad's house for the first time, you live in that dorm, whatever. Your life changes, but it's not too much. Him jumping out like what he's fixing to do right now, his life's fixing to turn upside down. That's where I love college. It's controlled, building these guys up, letting them find out how the real world is. One step at a time.
You know, a lot of people today is like, blah, blah, blah. I'm really ticked that NCAA football is still not coming back based on this.
I am pissed about that. Well, that's for later.
We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
If there was ever a time to live united, it is now. Now is the time to speak with one voice, to build up, not tear down. It's time to join hands and live united against the problems that keep our communities from thriving. United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you? Volunteer or donate now at unitedway.org.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-285-4954. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-285-4954. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-285-4954. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-285-4954. 800-285-4954.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before. Well, it's time to social distance in the perfect setting. Tiger Point Golf Club in Gulf Breeze puts the safety of their members and guests as their #1 priority. Each golfer has their own wipe-down individual cart as you play in paradise, overlooking a waterfront view for a round that costs $29 to play. Check it out for yourself. Go to tigerpointgolf.com and check out daily specials and all the precautionary measures they have taken to make sure you are safe during COVID-19. Call 932-1333 and book your tee time today at Tiger Point.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
2 a.m. love, gotta keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't checking out. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna dine in the 6. But when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell no, been waiting too long.
Coming up on Sunday, we're going to have the Last Dance, episodes 5 and 6. I think they need to spice it up a little. Look, ESPN right now is the biggest thing they're fighting is that they still have the ESPN brand, which is owned by ABC and Disney. Remember Disney, when they own things, don't act like it's all Mickey Mouse and hugs from Daisy Duck. they also own Miramax Films and a bunch of them that make movies like Scream. So there are a lot of things out there if you go down a path that Disney has their hands in.
Mickey's
Pretty
grown
much,
up.
yeah.
Mickey's grown up a lot.
I mean, for the most part, that's when we realized that the coronavirus, for many, was very serious, is when Disney shut down. Everybody was like, all right. And then they're like, what? The theme park shut down? Whoa. I mean, whoa. At that point, because Disney is its own, it's like its own world. Texas is always talking about, being its own sovereign state. Yeah, not Disney. I lived in Orlando. Disney is its own world. The people become clones. Rainforest Cafe, they're wearing $75 mini ears that you could probably cost 13 cents to make, and people walk around and you say anything like, man, I wasn't that excited for Dumbo. What did you say? Like the whole park stops. It's a small, whoop, and everybody just stares at you. I meant, I love it here.
Yay.
Pooh Bear's so cuddly. Like, give them more honey. Everything, look, just follow the rules and go about your business. That's what you do.
I feel like you've been kidnapped before.
I have been kidnapped a few times. Let's just say.
That voice sounded perfect.
Alice in Wonderland's not the only person that went through a crazy ride from a Disney movie. Got a little woof, woof, woof. Looking at the Jameis Winston to Drew Brees, he said he proudly has been a guy that Drew Brees took him under his wing. Drew Brees then reflected with, like, I don't condone teaching Jameis. Jameis is like, he taught me everything I know, and can we cut this interview? Drew's like, I don't think I don't want to do that right here. It's like kid graduating. I'm seeing some of the graduation pictures going on at college, and the kid that gets up there like, my principal taught me everything. Be like, kid was a class clown. Don't like this kid, man. Just get off the stage and clap for him right here. But Drew Brees has, first off, always been this kind of guy to everybody. Jameis is a guy that, remember, Bessemer, Hueytown, he was a guy from Alabama. If you've ever seen the 30 for 30 they did on him, he grew up on a bed that had cockroaches on the bed in a family of about 15 people that was sitting. They had the doors open at night. It wasn't a perfect scene for him. He worked his tail off, and in the first game he ever got to play football, he goes out there, and I remember on national TV, because look, Florida State's had like 20 quarterbacks over the last, I'd say, 10 years that their names in high school, we all go, what? And then some of them work out, and then the others, they end up getting kicked off the team. Malik Henry, DeAndre Johnson, DeAndre Francois. I mean, the list goes on.
Say a little more French, please.
DeAndre Francois.
Thank you.
And then guys like
nice.
James Blackman, who end up working out, got to play in Shreveport Independence Bowl, look good when they beat Southern Miss. Little disrespectful of the headline of the paper in Shreveport when it said Blackman wins Independence in Shreveport. Was a little upset. I thought that was wrong of them to do. But at the same time, James Blackman went out there. He had a great season. And then all of a sudden, you got a guy coming in there. Remember, but I mean, there's been tons of them. J.J. Constantino. It goes on and on.
Wow, you brought J.J. Constantino.
I threw him into the mix. Hey, he got some reps.
Cow. Yeah, he did.
Here in the headlights, reps against Houston. Remember that?
I didn't want to remember him, but I do now.
That Peach Bowl rep, going up against Greg Ward. But I have to say, though, all these names, and there's a lot of them I'm forgetting, but there's been a ton of those.
But you remember J.J. Constantino.
That's right. That's one of them. He's like, why would you throw that out here? Like if we haven't been salty enough with our play over the last couple of years, you throw J.J. Constantino into the mix. But they've had a ton of these guys that were 4- and 5-star recruits, not so much J.J. And then it never really worked out. Jameis did. And I remember that first game against Pittsburgh. He goes out there and he completed his first 18 throws? And we're like, this guy's the real deal. He continues that season as a redshirt freshman to make the news for a lot of other things. And with all of that, though, still goes on to win a national title. Beats Auburn, where you take two teams out of the South and throw them in the middle of Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. Nothing like where like people are salivating to watch football here, and you chuck them way over there on the West Coast to travel for two teams that would have packed anywhere. They would have packed, anywhere. Jim Scoggins Stadium, doesn't matter where you go. They would have had people waiting outside for it. I look at this and say, Jameis is not done with this story. He's only 26. But it hasn't always been perfect for him. And I think if a guy like that says, look, I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to settle down, as he did, he got married, pick 6 groommen, normal stuff we do. I think that this is a good thing, and that if you can learn from one team, now that Tom Brady and Belichick, and it seems like the force is all gone somewhere else. Obi-Wan Kenobi is
not
now
with you anymore.
Yeah, he's not there anymore. Yoda can't be seen, even Yoda Jr., whatever that was.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. Someone's getting really offended if they're Star Wars right now. Like, what is he doing right? But I will say, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick would have been the spot you wanted to learn, like Jimmy Garoppolo did. Now it is New Orleans.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's it. You got an offense that you put the guys out there, Lombardis and the people that you can work with around there, doesn't get any better. And he's in a city that sort of relates to who he is. Not Buffalo, not Green Bay. He's not a fish out of water in New Orleans. I think this is
it's a blue-collar city.
Everything's in his control. But today he said Drew Brees is pretty much, since 2006, he got an autograph. He was the first quarterback he got an autograph as a kid from. When Brees was rehabbing from his shoulder injury at Andrews in Birmingham, they would fly him back and forth. He said he had a chance to meet him a couple times. He's always been a huge fan, and he's been that kind of guy. He said, so I just love the person that he is and the guy that he is. And I'm so excited to learn from him and help serve him anyway. You know what? Good. Jameis, whether it's fluff or not, because Jameis has not been good at the fluff, the political answers throughout his life. He's been going the opposite path. When people are like, psst, shut up, man. We're trying to give you the Heisman. You're about to win a national title. Dude, you're about to get paid like $40 million as the first pick. Can you just shut up? Like, if he just shut up and got out of his own way, he could have lived this life. And he kept trying to get in his own way, and he still found a way to live all those dreams. But now he's taken the opposite. In a time where now he is getting benched, he is getting mocked, people are making jokes, maybe we have as well. He goes as a backup somewhere when you still have quarterbacks like Mitch Trubisky and teams going, he might still be our guy for a couple years. And you're going, well, Jameis is clearly better than this clown, right? And at the same time, he is willing to sit there knowing that if he waits out a year, he does everything right, which New Orleans, once again, not the easiest city to do everything right, but if he stays away from the beignets, doesn't look like an offensive tackle like Kelvin Benjamin, his former receiver, and he just goes out there and does his workouts, becomes the player he can be with those weapons, with Michael Thomas and the guys around him, because they added a few they needed to, like Emmanuel Sanders. It could be a good team and a good show. And I think Jared Cook is better. I think Saints fans understand that too. Jared Cook is better than what you got out of him last year he came on later into the season, but he's the kind of tight end that most teams, he's a top 10 tight end in the NFL. He's probably at that 10 spot, but he's right there. He's a lot more solid than people are giving him out to be, and he's still there, correct? I want to make sure before I go down this.
Yeah, but they also drafted Adam Troutman.
Yeah.
The kid, that's a big tight end.
Dayton Flyers,
yeah,
baby.
This guy's a monster, though. And
he is.
I think he'll start, of course. He'll definitely play. Look, multiple tight ends, we saw what that means, and especially for a guy like Drew Brees. I agree, though. Jameis, look, this is a home run. When I saw the contract, that was the thing. How much money are we giving Jameis to be the backup here? Now, they have the money to spend, but a contract on a one-year deal for $1.1 million with 3.4 in incentives that he can reach depending on what he does, that's a steal. That is an absolute steal for the Saints. This is a no-brainer. This is a project right now, Jameis Winston, and it's not a complete project. It's just he needs to get in there with some coaching and be behind a guy like Drew Brees. And look, for people knocking Bruce Arians has been the man. I know he hasn't won necessarily the big games and things like that, but he's a quarterback whisperer. He's a good coach. But now Jameis is not the man. Jameis has never not been the man, even back to Florida State. Let's think about that for a minute. He's always been pretty much, even with Fitzpatrick and stuff there, he was still the man, and he knew it. He was like, that's my job if I want it. And that's how it's always been. Now he knows, I'm not the man no more. I'm in a city where they love him, not me. They love him to death. This guy exudes New Orleans when you talk about Drew Brees. And just the atmosphere in general, the family atmosphere to say, look, if you're wearing anything other than Saints gear, good luck when you show up to New Orleans.
Well,
but
yeah.
It's something that for them.
Oh, I've lived that life.
Well,
with Brittany knowing that I've wore the Pats gear, and that was not cool.
But Jameis,
Lady had some big nails.
Jameis, going on Charlie Ward's Instagram Live yesterday saying, I just had to put my ego aside, and it's time for me to learn. That's a step. Now, whether he does that, we'll see. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Look, Jameis is a guy that I wouldn't want as my quarterback right now, but give him a year or two, and let's see what happens. Look, Teddy Bridgewater, it worked out for him pretty dang well. But Teddy Bridgewater, we already knew he could play.
Exactly.
But that's the difference in all this. That's the biggest question mark is, can you coach the fumbles? Can you coach the turnovers? I personally find it hard to believe because there's 30 of those. It's not like he threw 20 and there's a couple here or there. I know they weren't all his fault, but that's where I question. But you know what? If they can't do it with the Saints, then it's just not going to happen. That's just pure and simple.
And wouldn't you rather, when everybody is pretty much mocking you, you've played behind the crappiest offensive line in football for the last 3 years, wouldn't you much rather go and wait a year where you're still going to be in the limelight because you're in New Orleans? They have a good chance to be there. Right now, they're one of the top 3 for Super Bowl favorites, right there with Kansas City at 1 and San Fran at 2. They're a team that you're learning from the best. You're in a city that the conversation's going to be you're sort of the quarterback in waiting. Even if it doesn't work out that way because it's a 1-year contract, you're still going to get that hype. So look at that. He's getting you're a backup quarterback, and you're getting the top headline right now on ESPN. No other backup quarterback gets the top headline. And Jameis Winston's one of these guys that he knows, wait a year and be patient. You're 27 when all this comes to fruition. And next season, you're in a situation where you got the number 1 receiver in the NFL. You got one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL in Kamara. You've got a team built around for success right away. And on top of that, you don't have to go to some show where you're going to be 3-13 and trying to prove yourself once again, where almost anybody can't win in some of these cities. We're coming back for more. It's a Sports Drive. My brother, Brett Brillante of the Golf Channel, will join us to talk about all the big golf tournaments that you can watch virtually, I guess, online. Coming back for more right here on the Sports Drive.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this. And as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
There may be no games,
no practices,
no high fives.
but we're all still part of a team.
And we all have a role to play.
Right now, that means keeping our distance,
but still checking on each other,
helping the most vulnerable,
and supporting our heroes
that are keeping us safe.
Sports may be paused,
but the best parts
are needed now more than ever.
So let's all do our part to help our team right now.
#OneTeamESPN.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. So at Geico, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Thanks for sharing your inner lip sync star. Now it's our turn to share with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. Because we're committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for more info and eligibility.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you, and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
I pull up underlay, RP to Nate, dog. I had to regulate.
Wait, turn that beat down.
Public service announcement.
And welcome back. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV across 4 states here in the Panhandle, all the way from Alabama, Mississippi, New Orleans. Not too many people probably listening right now to us out there. But the Big Easy is getting set for a big year with Jameis and Drew Brees on one team. Pretty exciting when football is finally played. Joining us now to talk a little golf and then everything else in the world of sports. Hope he's doing pretty well right now in the home of the champions. If Bill Walton can say it for the Pac-12, I can say it for UCF. Brett Brillante joins us of the Golf Channel, my brother. Brett, what's happening? I should know that, right? Shouldn't we be calling family right now? I should know that. I thought during these times. But how's everything going?
Things are going well. You know, lucky enough that my wife and I are both still working hard. Golf Channel, you know, the season will be opening here hopefully in mid-June. But, you know, we're finding creative ways to get you guys golf instruction, whether it be on social media, still pumping out new shows. Just had a new episode of School Golf Air last week, and I can't really tell the specifics, but I can tell you we've got some pretty creative new episodes of School Golf with Martin Hall that are going to be delivered to you guys here in the upcoming weeks. It's been fun trying to find ways to get you guys new content and help your golf games without leaving the studio, without you guys leaving the house.
That's pretty awesome right there. And I realize one of the keys to success, I got to golf this week at one of our great sponsors, Tiger Point and Gulf Breeze. And I was over there and I realized really one of the best ways, if you haven't golfed in a while, the key to success, just go out there by yourself. I shot a lot better than when I was with 4 people last week. So I was pretty pumped for the score, but actually hit the ball pretty well. It was an open course, which is nice for me. And you see me drive. But I have to say, right now there's a lot of golf courses, and I know living in Orlando, pretty much the home of golf courses, when it comes down to social distancing, people getting outside and doing things. The beaches are reopening all around. They're opening Friday for us up here. But golf is the perfect thing to get out there, be in the public, but also self-isolate and be aware of your surroundings. Are you seeing that around where you're living? Is people are golfing more than ever these days?
Yeah, my game's definitely improved. The Disney courses, which are normally slam-packed and incredibly expensive because they're just still with resort guests. Well, guess what? The guests aren't there, but the courses are still open. So we get to play some really good courses for some really good prices. Look, here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell anybody who's not comfortable, no, you should go golf. If you're not comfortable doing it, if you're not comfortable leaving the house, if you want to continue social distancing and be as careful as possible, that's your prerogative, and I'm not going to tell anyone you should go do this. However, if you are comfortable getting out to the golf course, it is an easy way to play a sport and social distance yourself. I played with my father a couple of weeks ago before the stay-at-home order. It was nice to walk 18 holes. You stay 6+ feet apart. You're not touching any piece of equipment that is handled by another human being. You don't even have to touch the flag sticks. It's an incredibly safe way to exercise and play a sport that many of us really, really love. One of the things we say at Golf Channel is, everyone's favorite golfer is themselves. You can't say that about football, basketball, baseball, any other sport. Everyone has this is my favorite baseball player. But everyone's favorite golfer, it's not Tiger Woods, it's not Phil Mickelson, it's themselves. So anything you can do to go out there and make your favorite golfer better at the game and enjoy life and get some exercise during this difficult time, I fully support it.
So I did buy a sleeve of Titleist, and I realized at this point that Dad, his ideas of ball hawking all those years wasn't that bad of an idea. But has he still got the orange ball hawk?
Our father is not the greatest golfer in the world, but he is the world's greatest ball hawker.
Yeah, he'll go. I mean, he'll go into your room, and one time he came out, he's like, "I got a whole sleeve." I'm like, "Dad, that was his garage." But I mean, he can ball hawk with the best of them. Doesn't care about the water moccasins, and it was always the best. He's a Hall of Famer in that regard.
Yeah, a golf course at minimum is 4 miles long. And you think about the PGA Tour, it's scheduled to start here in mid-June. They're heading to Texas, which is one of the states that's already started phase 1 of their reopening. You're spreading 120 to 150 or so players out over the course of 4 miles. Maybe they do this with or without caddies. Maybe that's, one of the, decisions they make to make things safer. There's not going to be fans out there. They're going to incredibly minimize the amount of staff and volunteers, TV personnel, everyone else out there. So if there's one sport that is the most prepared to head back and get things back to normal, it's golf. And the other thing, too, is you don't have people cheering during your backswing. Golfers are going to play the sport the same exact way they always have. The only difference is Tiger Woods won't have 1 million people following and kicking his ball back into the fairway. That's literally the only difference. You're still swinging under complete quiet, whether there's 1 million fans out there or there's 0. So I think that golf is going to be one of the easiest sports to social distance and to translate back to television.
So I was listening to all that. My co-host, his attention had about in the first minute had drawn away because Halle Berry's on TV right now talking to Dana White. I guess she's giving out a date to the next UFC fight with her. Is that what I mean? Now we're both happily married, Brett. I have to say though, I love how these people though are watching this though, where she has the perfect combination.
Brett, I'm so sorry, I got him on this.
She's all dolled up. She's completely make-uped up, but she's got the hair where she looks like she just got out of bed, and a shirt that clearly she picked out.
I just think she naturally looks like that.
I think that she perfectly made it look like she is into the quarantine, but she also wants to look real hot, which she can be at any point in her life.
I'm happily married as well. But
Yeah.
I'm going to say any woman that makes an excuse for how they look because of their age, well, go look at Halle Berry.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, We all watch Flintstones for our kids.
Fine for, I believe, 50 plus at this point.
Everybody watches Flintstones with their kids. That's why we do it. Looking right now at some of the things going on in the world of sports, the NCAA talked about they will give an opportunity for the players to get paid for their brand, their likeness. Oh, but they're going to control it, and so are the schools. At this point, to me, this is just a complete, like, hey, pay attention over here, look at the headline. But if you actually read what they're doing, they're not budging. They're not budging. And what do you take of this? Are we ever going to get to a point? Because there really isn't a perfect answer to this question. And we've been talking about it like Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame for 20 years. But, Brett, the NCAA today acting like they're doing a big service to these kids when, frankly, they still can say, nah, I don't feel like you should get paid for that.
You know, just about everything in the world, you've got to make rules and regulations, you know, to stop the 1-2% of idiots. And that's what I feel in this case. You know, you open just the slightest, tiniest bit of gray area, which, yes, is going to help 98 to 99% of schools, of college athletes, of sports fans. And you've got that 1 to 2% of really sneaky, sketchy, borderline illegal people who are going to fully take advantage of this. They're going to find a way to make this essentially pay for play. You know, there's no more recruiting because this is the campus I like, because it's the coach I like, you know, because this is the storied tradition I like. Nope. Oklahoma State offered me $2 million more, or whoops, you know, this guy from Nike says that he'll pay me $2 million for my likeness or for my autograph or for whatever when I come to their school. There is going to be loopholes that the most expensive schools and the highest earners absolutely will exploit. College football recruiting, college basketball recruiting is about to essentially become pay for your best athlete.
Yeah, JP's over here crying because he's an Oregon Duck, and he knows his team is about to win 7 national titles coming up here soon. So.
Absolutely. No, if you're a fan of the schools that have a bunch of money, if you're a fan of the schools that are given a ton of money by Nike, Adidas, man, I don't know if you watched the documentary about college basketball recruiting on HBO, the scheme, but oh my goodness, I mean, that's about to all become legal. And I feel sorry if you're a Power 5, you know, non-Power 5, if you're a UCF fan, if you don't have the big bucks to compete with the Michigans and the Floridas and the Oregons of the world, the gap between the top schools and the mid-tier schools is about to get a whole lot bigger.
Yeah. That we know of. Michael Jordan doesn't have any more kids that can go to UCF, so I think we're screwed on that one. Looking right now at what's going on in the NFL draft. First off, was it just all of us, by the way? I was going to say, was it just me? But was it everybody that Roger Goodell was over it by about pick 17, or he needed some Imodium? And what did you think overall of the first draft that was online? And your Miami Dolphins, I wanted to ask you the question with Dan Marino and people talking about, well, Mike Bianchi, who we both think, I'm sure, you know, we'll hold our opinions right now. But in Orlando, Bianchi's been a writer there for 25 plus years. And he said that Dan Marino should do the right thing and get rid of his retired 13 or reopen his retired 13 so that Tua can wear his number. The whole point of retiring an elite athlete's jersey is it stays retired and the young people, like rookies, have respect for it. That's my opinion. If you're walking into the city that Dan Marino pretty much built even without a ring, but he was, you know, the man for 20 years down there, if he is wanting that 13, to me, a guy that has always been painted as a great man of faith, and I don't think Tua is saying this, but to me it would be disrespectful as crap if he actually is trying to fight for that number tooth and nail.
So here's what I'd say, Chad. I don't care about Mike Bianchi's opinion. I hate to say it, but I don't care about your opinion. I don't want to hear this topic debated on Get Up or any other shows. There's only one opinion that matters, and that's Dan Marino's. Tua goes to Dan Marino, and he says, hey, can I have number 13? If Dan Marino says it would be my honor, absolutely. Guess what? Tua gets to wear the number 13, and it'll be a great honor for a Miami Dolphins quarterback. If Dan Marino says, hey, guess what? This is one of the great honors in my life, and I prefer it stays retired, Tua goes, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And he wears a different number. Those are the only two options. That's the only opinion I care about is Dan Marino's. This is an incredibly simple one to move on from. It's his opinion, and what Dan Marino thinks should be the only factor in the decision whether or not Tua wears 13.
But why doesn't he really represent Dan Marino and just wear 0? I don't see the problem here. I just don't. I mean, yeah.
No, look, as Dan Marino, UCF national championships in football. The 0 it's a very prestigious number.
Hey, we're one up on Dan Marino in parades. I'm just saying that much. But I have to say,
that is true. Dan Marino.
All right. Well, looking at the draft overall, what do you think was the best overall pick? And one that was a steal, and one that obviously Jalen Hurts that could have probably waited about 4 rounds.
All right. Well, look, here's the deal. I think the New Orleans Saints drafted exactly how I would want my team to draft. You know, they didn't go out. They know they're a team that's 1 or 2 players away from winning a Super Bowl. They didn't go out and draft 37 different players. They made sure they got the guys they wanted, and they got fantastic guys. If there was a guy like, you know, the linebacker on out of Wisconsin, who they saw slipping, who they saw was great value, let's go get him. Let's not wait. Let's not hope he's there by the time we're not. Let's go get. They went and got the guys they wanted.
The guys
now,
Jameis Winston
Dolphins
wanted. Exactly.
Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, the best pick in the draft is Tua, because there was so much smoke screen. Oh, they're going to trade up and get offensive lineman at 3. Oh, they're going to take Justin Herbert at 5. We debated this on your show many, many times, Chad. They had a plan. They did all kinds of crazy stuff, and they still ended up with the guy they wanted at 5 without having to give up any picks. They've got their future face of their franchise. They've got a guy who they're confident can finally lead them back to a Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins could not have played that single pick any better. Now, the rest of their draft, they reached for pretty much everyone. The Miami Dolphins, all I can think, they got Tua, they got their franchise quarterback. The only thing I take away from the draft is you guys picked a long snapper in the 6th round. That kept me up at night. I do think Weaver was a fantastic value pick for them. But New Orleans Saints would be my best draft. They didn't get a ton of players, but they got the players they needed. And the single best pick was Tua to Miami, because I'm telling you, you don't settle. You go for the guy. You have to have your franchise quarterback to win a Super Bowl in the game today. You have to have your Brady. You have to have your Mahomes. You have to have your Drew Brees. You have to have that guy. Herbert, I think, is going to be a fine quarterback in the league for years to come. He's like a Tannehill to me. I don't see him being a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Tua, sure, he could get hurt again, and he could be out of the league completely in 3 years. But I'd rather take the risk for a guy whose ceiling is Hall of Fame worthy.
He's Brett Brillante of the Golf Channel, and we'll talk some golf when it's back in action. Brett, when can we expect? We only have about a minute here, but when can we expect golf to start to move towards playing on the PGA, the LPGA Champions, whatever they call it these days? But when it comes down to the athletes that will be able to play, and also the fans, because I feel like you're going to be able to have golf is the one sport where the people watching at home are going to be okay, even without the galleries off the tee.
Look, I don't have to guess. I can tell you, June 8th through the 14th, they're heading to Colonial. They're heading to Texas. That's the first event scheduled on the PGA Tour right now, and every indication is it's going to go off. This isn't like the Major League Baseball where it's like, we're hopeful this plan. No, the PGA Tour has a plan in schedule, and it starts the 2nd week of June. The first 4 events are going to be without fans on the course, and they are very hopeful that around the 4th of July, when they head to the John Deere Classic, they'll be able to bring fans back. That is completely up in the air. That part, we're still not sure. I think that's the biggest question mark for all sports. But the PGA Tour, come the 2nd week of June, Korn Ferry, PGA Tour, they're all ready to go. Golf is going to be back here soon.
It's going to be pretty exciting. I know that things have moved quicker than a lot of people expected, but we still have to be cautious, and it's different everywhere else. And, Brett, I've felt, and we've been social distancing. We show up to work each and every day. It's just one of those kind of things where I hope we continue to make the right choices. And, I'll settle down on my posts on Facebook because I don't want to just one-up everybody like I keep doing. So, all right, you know what, Brett? I hope you have a great one, and we'll talk to you here soon.
Absolutely, Chad. You and the family stay safe.
All right, you too. We'll check up on family some more, okay?
All right, talk to you later.
All right, see you, bud. Brett Brillante, brother right there in Orlando, Florida, and it's good to hear his voice. We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. I hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left, because I've been blasting and laughing so
Welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just saying, you know. You over here talking about 2.0, and I'd like to get 1.0 version. That's
you and a lot of other people.
Are they really going for round twos? If like
that's what Matt Gaetz said. He said that they're working on right now getting the whatever CARES 2.0 package together.
For stimulus checks out there. I'd like my first 1.0 one on that one. I'm not one of these that's every day on Facebook like, where is my check? Like, okay, if it hasn't come, I'm going about my business. But I would like to know where it is. Yeah, I would. And well, I know all the rules. If you signed up online, direct deposit,
you can check on that website.
I know I have. Every time I've gone that.
But I know you checking on stuff is not going to happen.
Well, first off, my follow through on things
is
like
if
the first time it annoys me where I want to be like that panda in that meme that smashes things all over the table, it's going to be very hard to do it again. And the first 3 times I got shut down, I got all the way through, answered all the questions, and then I gave them the 2018, 2019 tax referrals, everything about it, how much you made, everything that came in. And then at the end, they're like, oh, our monitors are overloaded right now. We cannot process this. I'm like, you son of a. So I'm going to wait.
Son of a what? What were they a son of?
Eventually it'll happen. And I got a voice, so every day I don't get it, I'll just come on and start the show. Just be like, still haven't got my check. Still haven't got my check. Like Bart in the back of the seat. Where is my check? I'll just call J.G. Wentworth. That's what they say, right?
That's true.
They got my money?
Something like that.
That's what
877 cash now.
That's right.
877 cash now.
They don't have my money right there. So everything's good. 850-623-1330 is the number. Yeah, look at that right there.
Look at this.
Is that Grandpaps out there?
Landon, I don't know.
He's a real pitcher.
Yeah, he's a real guy. Well, obviously a real guy.
It's just a robot out there.
It's this robot guy out here. I don't know who that was, but we don't have sound up here. I've been watching. This is all like trick stuff here. These people are doing on SportsCenter.
Have you noticed though that?
Did you see that?
They're doing all these tricks. Yeah, I did see that.
That is wild.
These trick shots and these people hitting baseballs and stuff out of their garage. These people have mansions or they live in the middle of like Wyoming.
Every one of them.
You try to do that in like try to do that in like Lower Manhattan, or try to do that in anywhere that has another neighbor. You talk about isolation.
If I do that now, I'm getting arrested where I live.
Well, your neighbor Jimbo comes over and socks you in the face for breaking their window. They're not going to be too happy.
Hit it on Creighton
Already
Road.
had a grandmother say that bubbles were like floating death balls coming at you of mucus from people blowing in. I'm like, oh my God, we're all going to get them. You're just letting your. I'm like, you know what, Grandma? You're thinking like that? I might have some more bubbles for you.
What a genius idea.
That, by the way.
This guy's playing Wii baseball, and he attached the little Wii thing to the bat, and actually, that's pretty cool.
He attached the little Wii.
Look, college players, major league players, there you go. That's what you need to do.
That's a way to use your little Wii right there and have an opportunity for
always
Nintendo.
Using the Wii.
Great job right there. Good for
Big
him.
Wii, little Wii, whatever.
Whatever you get, whatever just go ahead and use it. That's not advice for the kids. Favre, right now, Packers burned a bridge with Rodgers. Now they already went down this path with Favre, so he knows better than anyone. I'm so confused with the Aaron Rodgers situation because he's the only player in the NFL right now that has elite status that is treated like a Ryan Finley versus Andy Dalton situation. Like, not one person, even a young coach who usually you have a better feeling, not one of those old curmudgeons like 85 out there, and not one person talked to him about this before it happened. Aaron J-Lo, Packers.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive in the second hour, we'll get to why Aaron Rodgers is still ticked off. 8 days from the draft, and also more on what's going on. Baseball has postponed its July induction of guys that had to get 75%, and that's not fair.
Has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin. Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl. Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr. Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold. Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back to the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Some of the headlines today, including the NCAA, right now has decided that they will allow athletes, well, the phases, the steps, in order to allow athletes to be able to get paid for their brand and likeness. But you better read the story. Don't just read the beginning of it, because for all those people going, woohoo, NCAA football's coming back, bro. No, that's not happening right now. On top of that, they're not going to allow them to have free reign. It's not like, their dad or uncle or family members can all jump in and make the decisions for them, their new agent to be. It's still going to be governed by the school and the NCAA. So this is the closest thing I've ever seen to the grandfather clause, which was I know they're taking a lot of things out of history books. I saw they're taking the Trail of Tears out. They're just trying to make people just not remember our history. But whatever, never happened.
It never happened.
God, for that kid that said, I don't want to learn about World War I and World War II because emotionally it makes me distraught. Be like, you know what's going to make you distraught?
Real life, buddy.
When somebody takes you out in the car and bear maces you in the face and then kicks you where the sun don't shine, because that's what he should get from every single person that ever fought in that war. But
whatever happened if you don't learn history, you're bound to repeat it? Like that whole thing, that
so
we were
ridiculous.
Taught and it's actually true, by the way.
Why we're here today and we're probably not a communist country or wearing masks or afraid to walk the streets and get shot in the head is because of people like our grandparents that fought for us. And yes, were their deaths, were their horrible days. Absolutely. But they did this to save us. And my grandfather was a war hero. I mean, he was one of the guys honored. Patrick Air Force Base named him the Man of the Year. He was the Man of the Year at Patrick Air Force Base, and for everything he did. He's a hero. He's a guy that was a part of the governor's staff as the communication director of this state, and he started the first ever cable company in the state of Florida. But we don't need to get into this whole thing. All I'm going to say is he's a hero. I look up to him. And people like that, they didn't want to talk a lot about it.
Well, the thing is
we need to know the history of what he did.
My grandfather was in the Navy, and the one thing that my mother always told me, because he passed away when I was 2 years old, but he said that the one question he was asked is, and she asked him the same thing, was, do you regret doing it? And he said, no, it's my duty. It was my right to go and volunteer, and that's what I did. And he goes, and I would never change it no matter what happens. He goes, because it's not about how things are now, it's about what I fought for. And what I fought for was for freedom. And that's why you ask veterans now. Ask them, would you do it again? I mean, I'm almost guarantee you 100% of them would say yes, because it's not about what it is today. It's fighting for that freedom. And that's what we have to remember in all this. That's why I am so military. I love it. I love living in a military town with military people. Having people in my family that were military. It's just, that's what it's about. And that's where I look at this. Well, let's take this out of the history books. And that's, I don't know. I hate that. I really do.
And a lot of, like I said, the grandfather clause, I bet, is taken out of all history books by now. But I did like history, geography, like to study, like to read a lot, and then grew up and realized I was just stop doing that. The Michael Crichton or Tom Clancy books. But the grandfather clause,
is the military. If you ask them though, that some of them do regret it, is whenever they implemented the tuck rule. That's where they go.
Huge.
You know
that was big. That was big. Yeah.
You know what? We just can't fight for that anymore. I regret doing this. It's the tuck rule. It's all your Patriots' fault.
That's what they realized at that point, that they might have made a mistake.
It's ironic they call it the Patriots.
But the grandfather clause, right now today, it's more of a broad term, is a provision which an old rule continues to apply after a new rule is implemented for the betterment of people, or an opinion on that. But from that standpoint, that's pretty much what it is in a nutshell. So what it was used for is right after the U.S. southern states were fighting the Civil War, and the North, Abraham Lincoln said, hey, you know what? Slaves now can vote. They now, after the 2/3 compromise in Missouri, everything that they only counted as 2/3 of humans during that time, and all of the stuff throughout the history of our great country. Well, the grandfather clause was something where states and local representatives still decided to say, you know what, we're going to implement this where, yeah, you won, that's great, but we're going to implement this rule called the grandfather clause where anything that happened before the war, you still can't do. So they're like, well, wait a second, weren't we fighting so we could vote, so we could be a citizen? Yeah, that happened, but we're going to go back to the rule before the war and say you still can't vote. Well, then what? I can't fault you here. It's just the grandfather clause. It's just
we can send you to customer service. That's all we can do.
So why I'm bringing this up is because in sports, the NCAA has said for years, has said, we are not going to allow you to get paid for your brand and likeness. You get an education. You're able to still go out there, and it costs $51.5, pretty much $51,000 is what it costs for the average NCAA football player in Division I for room, board, travel, everything that goes into it. It's not cheap to feed those guys. or to have them get on planes and travel across country. And now all of a sudden today they come out and they said, yeah, you know what, we're NCAA, all this time we've been sitting here self-isolating. We're going to make these decisions. We're going to go ahead and allow these players to get paid for their brand and likeness. And people are like, what? Wait, it just happened? Like they wake up, Mark Emmert and everybody, watch out for the sneaky Pete. The whole thing they did was pretty much say, yeah, you can, but we still get control of what you get paid for, and so does the school. So in retrospect, if you're like, hey, man, I got this sweet designer that's going to make my new logo, my brand. It's going to have pictures like a Joe Exotic wanted to be. Think about it. If Joe Burrow still had a year left, he had to play for LSU. He could be reaping the benefits of Tiger King shirts. I mean, why wouldn't you? Now, Cincinnati can do that anyway, and he's going to get a ton of cash anyway if he's half of the man we expect him to be. But think about that. I mean, he could be ripping those Tiger King. Coach O, with the Tiger King crown right now, with the 15-0 shirts he has, man, it would be sweet. Could reap the rewards. But the NCAA would still see the profit in that and be like, well, that's a great idea. Let's put it in our shop. Let's go to NCAA.com and put that provision right there. And then they would lose anyway. So ultimately, they're not having freedom to make money. And it's just going to open up the door for more arguments. So what they did today is make it more of a cluster, you know what? And it's going to be tougher for people to be honest, because just like what they did with Justin Fields, they open up Pandora's box on transferring, and if you have any excuse, oh, my back hurts. I don't like the air. A lot of pollution in this city. All right, you can get out. Go to another team. Tate Martell got to transfer because he was upset. Yeah, exactly. Tate Martell thought he was going to be the incumbent, the quarterback at Ohio State.
Don't you use that word.
Well, Dwayne Haskins goes to the Redskins. Martell's like, all right. And then all of a sudden, Justin Fields transfers from Georgia, takes a spot, and Martell goes, what up, bro? And they're like, well, you can transfer. You can get out of here. You can go wherever. But don't you have to sit out of here? This was unfair to you two. Yeah, go ahead and go. Adios. Goes down now. He's not even going to play. Exactly. We'll sign the papers. No problem.
Here's a plane ticket.
Here it is. Just get down. Get
out. Get.
So, and he's sort of one with the girlfriend for how long she realized until he was the guy actually holding the ball. Now he's not even the long snapper. But I have to say, it just brings up so many questions, and they didn't really do anybody a service today by what they did. It's not going to.
No, it's all smoke and mirrors when you look at it. It's like, oh, yeah, you guys get what you want, but you don't. Don't worry about reading that fine print.
Yeah, please.
Don't read the fine print. Just sign it. Hurry up. Like I said, the final vote goes on in January, so you got some time. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what them saying we left room for changes and allowing the NCAA and the schools to decide what they can and can't get paid for. And now the schools can't deal with the money, which I get that. Things can get twisted. It can get a little shady there. But the school can also go, you know what? I know that auto dealership wants you to do this. Not going to happen. No, I can't do it. Like I said before, I'm not going to get into it, but what I will say is I'm not for this overall anyway, but if the only way that I am okay with this, not that it matters if I'm okay with it, but is if it's across the board. If it's even for everybody, because that's going to cause so many problems overall. And look, and like Brett, your brother talked about it. If this could get out of hand where Nike could say, listen, you know what? You come on over to Oregon, we'll take care of you. Don't you worry about it. We'll hook you up. We'll give you millions. We'll do this for you. We'll do that for you. And look, Oregon could definitely benefit from it. I don't care about that. I just think it's going to taint the game in such a bad way that we're already seeing other leagues getting, bolstered by this. The NCAA is not pure. I'm not acting like they're the saint in all this. But what I am saying is that there is a old school mentality about it that I believe. Remember, this is about the education. No matter what you want to say, they're still a student athlete. And as long as they are a student athlete, which is what you are in the NCAA when you play a sport, no matter whether you want to admit it, whether you show up to class or you have somebody doing your homework for you, like some of these schools get busted for every year, you're still a student athlete. So student comes before athlete. That's something we need to remember. I'm not being an old curmudgeon on this. I am stating a fact. That is a fact. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's up to you. But you are a student athlete, and you go there originally to go to school. Football is fantastic. You can make your money out of there, and whether you want to finish your degree or not, that's up to you. But you have the option. That's the beauty in all this. So I just think it's going to turn very ugly if we allow players to go out here and do this. So just think about it. Like I said, for Tua goes out there and makes millions of dollars because he's Tua. He plays he's a quarterback for Alabama. He's fantastic. Not to say he wouldn't deserve it, but what about everybody else on that team? What about Jerry Jeudy and those guys? What about the tight ends and things like that aren't the flashy players that people want to go buy the jerseys for or want to see on a commercial, or nobody cares if the tight end shows up on a commercial like, who the crap is this guy? That's where this is going to create problems for guys. And I tell you what, it will be a nightmare for coaches to recruit with all this. It's going to be so tough.
And think about it, too. Like a team like LSU, 14 guys got drafted this year in the NFL draft. Probably 3 of them are probably brand worthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I love the guy's name. His family looked like they were very jolly, and they were all hugging each other, and it was a nice day on the 2020 NFL draft board. But Lloyd Cushenberry's not getting calls right now. Maybe he is from different types of T-shirts.
Yes,
High Times Magazine and some other ones. Like, man, this guy is Cushenberry, bro. But Lloyd Cushenberry's not getting people jumping to his aid, even though he was drafted, because of his name, even though he is looked at as 2%. 2% is the athletes in college who go on to play a professional sport. 2%. Now, 98% of people, they get a free education. The 98% get a free education. They get an opportunity to be known. When these guys, like, even if you're not a star, but a guy that goes undrafted, you're just the safety that plays for Florida State or Florida. You don't think when they go out to Tallahassee that they haven't already met a few people and get a job as that car dealer or have an opportunity to work at that insurance company or get a job as a CPA and get their degree or work at that gym as a guy who's getting paid a little extra to have a former player at that gym working now with you. All these guys get that opportunity. Even at UWF's level as a national championship, I know around here, people get those opportunities. And it's all legal. You're giving a guy a job after he gets out of college because he is somebody that people like to see, and he's good, and he's got a degree in that field. This isn't handing out candy. But the difference here is the 2% is what we talk about. Now, the 2% really is not even close to 2%. Because like I said, out of the 14 guys that got drafted, if we take and we both agree, common knowledge would say out of Joe Burrow, probably you could say, we're pushing it now after Joe Burrow to say that a guy like Chason, a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a guy like Justin Jefferson is going to just book it with his brand while he's in college. So even if we highball it to 3, you're still taking 3 guys out of the 14 on that team. Now, if you add that percent of the math across the board, that 2% is really only about 0.4%. So not even a 1% of the NCAA this involves. It's 0.4%. And a lot of things in this country aren't done to change everything for 0.4%. Some things maybe, we're quarantined right now, but other things, overall, most people, that does not happen. I do have to say, though, but we're fighting, and it takes up half of our job in the NCAA, it seems like, during this time, that they're doing these things, and everybody, this is a shame, these kids. No, the other 99.6% are getting an education, an opportunity of a lifetime, no student loans, and getting to eat for free, and having if they stay 4 or 5 years, an average of $200,000 to $250,000 for all of their amenities: travel, food, room, housing, education, everything they need to survive. Clothing, you can get any t-shirt they want with that team on it. Any pair of shorts that they want. And all of this, once again, people want to sit there and pick it like the NCAA is out there ruining every one of these kids' lives by not having to pay to play. This isn't a conversation that we're on the side of the NCAA. This is a conversation that the system in place right now is okay. But the NCAA, if they are going to open up the door for these athletes to get that money for a t-shirt or brand or whatever, which I've been fine with from day one, the NCAA now steps in and still tries to govern that. So it's either or. Allow these athletes to get that cash or don't. But don't try to play middleman in something of this regard. I am okay with those guys getting those t-shirts. But let's not be a bunch of pow-pow fish over the other people, because this is only going to be a pow-pow fish, a big book, good kids book.
Wow.
You should look it up. It's a really good kids book. Moral of the story here with the Pow Fish is we're only talking about a few guys that are even going to have this opportunity.
It's an ugly fish.
So it's a very ugly fish. That's why he's Pow. But at the end of the day, why are we trying to govern those few athletes that actually can make some money off their brand? It's either or to me. I'm fine with the system in place right now, the government not stepping in. But if they're going to allow it, then they're all in with that. It just, this whole way it's even making the NCAA to me look worse as a govern regulating body on this issue. And UWF's not going to have to, they're not going to have to worry about it. UWF is not going to have to worry about it. Austin Reed, Quentin Randolph, some of the best players still aren't going to have to worry about this. We're talking about a few guys that have their brand and likeness that are going to go to a whole new level.
Well, remember, too, the NCAA talking about allowing the one-time transfer rule, too. So you play all this into one thing here. That's where I just think this is going to be such a problem. But I agree with you. I think the NCAA is trying to play middleman. Look, and I don't agree with it personally. Unless it's across the board, then I'm okay with it, evenly for these guys. I get it. I agree with you on the part that, look, most of these guys are living scot-free. They're getting a great education. They're getting some of the best medical care. Can we remember the medical side of this from the chiropractor and everything else that goes in? We know if you once I got out of college and I couldn't get those free chiropractor visits,
massages,
every 3-4 times a week, and it was required that I get them. Like I have to get it signed off that I got it. I mean, to understand everything that goes into this, that I don't know how this is going to work. There's so many things right now. The world is changing. I get that. I'm not ignorant to that. But at the same time, you're going to pay these guys, but not everybody's going to be paid. Like, how is that going to work? Not only that, how is this going to work for the smaller schools? How is this going to work? Yeah. They're not going to be able to survive on this. They can't do that.
No.
No offense. We know businesses support, Kent States, Mac schools, whatever they are, UWF, schools like that down here. The sponsors are appreciated, obviously, but UWF's not going to get a guy that I can't imagine that there would be somebody here go, all right, give you $500,000 to come down here, all right? It's just not the big schools, yes, because look, my father's good friends with a couple Alabama alumni that write a pretty heavy check every single year to them. I don't know where it goes. I assume I kind of have an idea, but things like that, it's just not going to happen. That's where when I look at the NCAA in this, I'm with you. Either you're all in and you're going to put a stop to this, or butt out and just let it be.
This middle ground only makes more confusion for everybody.
Yes, big time.
Because the point of the Tate Martell is once they open up that door, it was over. I mean, the whole rule of 2 years, you have to sit out a year if you're not a grad student. If you're not a grad student, you had to sit out a year in order to transfer. And then all of a sudden, there were exceptions that logical people, look, what happened where there was smoke, there was fire for Hugh Freeze. We could sit there all day. And when we were talking about Hugh Freeze and say, you know what, for Shea Patterson, for some of these guys, I understand it. You were just a team that was expected to be a top 10 team, and all of a sudden, everybody's out of town. I mean, this is now a school that's under every violation, every probation. I get that to a point, even though that's tough apples. When you work look, a lot of us have jobs today. We work right now in a job where even without sports, we are essential, and we're able to still show up and work and punch in and do the things we do. It's a lot of people that had jobs, great people, friends of mine, that no longer have jobs right now, are not getting a paycheck, haven't received their stimulus check, and their job to me seems more essential than mine. However, I'm not going to, don't ask for any favors. It's too late. But but when it comes down to it, we need to understand that it's not always fair. But when they open up the door for Justin Fields, they open up a can where everybody decided if they do this, and the first time that a Mac Jones gets paid for his brand and image, but then Patrick Nix and the school decides not to allow him to get paid for the brand and image, there's going to be lawsuits.
That's what I'm saying.
There's going to be so many lawsuits.
How do you draw the line on any of this?
There's no way.
Because it's not going to be the same for everybody. That's where I go, look, it would benefit Oregon. This should be good news to me, but I'm against this completely. For Oregon Nike money, they can say, hey, look, you know what? We'll put you on a commercial or just sign some autographs or something. Here we go. I know
Oregon's going to win every national title with this.
They
if they
should.
Don't. Yeah, they should, yeah.
With schools like that, though, there's no reason not to. And when you look at it, Oregon can go out there and say, all right, look, this is what we're going to do. We got a hookup here. We know that you're a senior in high school. Go ahead and enroll early as soon as you get here. We'll start getting you, we'll get you your money. We'll take care of you. Yeah, it's $1 million. Okay, we'll sign you for $1 million. All right. Well, we're not signing you for $1 million though. We're just doing it because you're gonna do us a commercial here because we like your likeness. Now you can do what you want with that. That's where I go. This is how do you draw a line? You can't draw a line, and the NCAA's already screwed up by saying, yeah, we like this. You know what? We left some room in it to vote. By the time January comes around, that we can have some control here. Bull. There's no way you're going to control this because, like you said, with the whole Tate Martell, Justin Fields thing, the 1 minute you don't do it for somebody but you do for the other, this is going to get shady real quick, and this is just going to get out of hand. And I see it snowballing because now you're talking about the NCAA being sued because they allowed this guy to do this, but they didn't allow this guy to do this. Now you're talking about all this drama, this controversy coming up. Mm-hmm. There is no good way out of this now.
And we've had this conversation with everybody here that's been around the game of football in our studio here, co-host with Jeffrey D., with Coach Tanner, with Joe, with Eric, all the guys over the years that have sat in this seat, with professional athletes, Fred Robbins, guys about this. And there's not a perfect answer on this. But once again, it goes back to my conversation about the athletes right now, the NCAA, it's still working. The brand is working. The games are working. The numbers are working. These athletes are getting paid. They're getting the perfect step up for Joe Burrow to have a bad season and then a great season and become a millionaire. We don't have to change it. If you had asked me for a vote, I'm in that room, and Voices of Broadcasting, and we'd probably be one of the first states they'd go to for college football to endorse it. If you and I had a vote, and it says you're all in or you're all out for athletes getting paid for their brand, even though I've made my point clear that I would be okay with some of the very rare birds, the Tims, the Tim Tebows, the Jameses, the Johnnies for getting their T-shirts paid for. If I was all in or all out, I'm voting against it. And I'm voting against it because there's too many things that are going to go down a path for, and I know you would as well. And to me, that's something where people go, well, then that's not fair. These guys, well, like I said, they're still finding a way, and some of them are already going to get paid. We know that. But you're right. Nobody's going to be able to compete with the pockets of Phil Knight for a guy coming in there and saying, you know what, buddy, we're going to put you on $10 million of commercials. They're all yours. Capiche? And then you have another school that's like a school like Appalachian State that worked their tail off to be. Why in the heck would one of those guys that's in the mountains of North Carolina want to ever stay put there when a guy's calling them as that 5-star stud, 6'5", 230 laser rocket arm, and he can get $10 million of commercials? You'd be a moron not to. And that's what they're opening up the door.
Then you might as well take the Power 5, those schools that can get that kind of money, and then take them somewhere else, because the schools, the FCS schools, not the FCS schools, but the non-Power 5 conference, the UCFs, the American, whatever, they're never going to be able to compete like this. I know they may have some donors that can throw some money, but not the way these big time, not the Ohio States, the Alabamas, even the USCs and the money they can get, things like that. There's no way they'll be able to compete here. This is where you talk about offensive linemen. You can build a line for that quarterback for Tua right there. Yeah, we got Tua. All right, now let's build our offensive line. All right, now let's go get the top 2 corners over here. Let's go get this top back. This becomes a bidding war. This basically becomes a semi-pro league for the NFL of just bidding on guys.
And the funny part, too, is people don't understand. You have to be 3 years removed from college football to play in the NFL. These guys could have taken the path where DeAndre Francois, when he was getting in trouble, was getting some calls from the Canadian Football League where he was going to get like $75,000. Some of these guys, if there was a big enough just backlash to everything, besides the governors and these people stepping in, and half of them, the lady that spoke on behalf of California, she didn't sound like she had been to more than 5 games. And maybe that's an ignorant statement, but she was using words like the round thing they throw. Like stop it. You don't know what you're talking about because you haven't been around the game. But one thing I will say is that when you look at this situation, kids are not stopping playing. Parents are not stopping having them be part of football teams. Tradition, passion is only growing. Ratings are only getting higher. All of this stuff is happening with the same system that has been in place where athletes get an education, they get a scholarship, they get their books, their travel, everything paid for, and we're not paying the athlete except for the Uncle Tony's under the table. That is going to happen anyway, and we can't do anything about it. That's called life. That system is working. There's a few people out there that are saying it's not working, and those people are the ones that are the loudest and trying to get this all changed and putting pressure. The government never needed to step in on this. And if the people wanted to leave after high school and there was a big enough protest or a petition to change, there would have been hundreds of thousands of kids going to Canadian football or Europe or all over to find a chance to play a little football or train until they're ready for the pros. And they're not. It's people are speaking on behalf of something they want, but it hasn't actually changed. Because if you talk to me and you were a star athlete, and you said, man, we're about to get this rule change where you're going to get paid like $4 or $5 million for like a brand, your T-shirts, all this. We'd be like, hell yeah.
Of course.
Of course. So
I would want that for my son or daughter.
Obviously, the hype is going to be huge about this. Every kid's going to be high-fiving it. Half you out there just want your video games back. NCAA football, bro. But the actual semantics of this working, you're opening up something that's going to be detrimental.
Guys are leaving for the G League for $500,000.
Yeah.
Okay, $500,000. Just to bypass college here and go to the G League. Think about this from a basketball perspective. It's much easier to build your national championship program when you're a basketball. You got 5 guys out there on the court. You got 12 guys sitting there, period. I mean, think about it. You could go bid and get the top guys there. Then what is the point in all this? If this is the NCAA trying to compete outside, quit. Like it is nothing but a bidding war. That's it. That is all this is going to be. There's no way they're going to be able to stop it because they've already allowed it to start happening.
492,000 student athletes in NCAA in all 3 divisions. 492,000 athletes. This conversation, this piece, is truly dedicated to about 25 of those people.
Exactly. Could be more.
But that's it. I mean, we're talking the other 489,975 athletes, this doesn't relate to, and they're getting an education. But the few Tuas, the few Tim Tebows, the few guys like Johnny Manziel and Jameis's, the ones that we know that their brand and endorsements, people wear their T-shirts, and you know the number. You know 13 walk around Alabama's Tua. Those kind of guys. The rest of us? No. And that's the difference is we made such a stink in changing the whole direction for about 25 guys out of $500,000. And it's going to lead to more trouble for these guys in the long run.
It starts with 25, and now it's going – if they allow this to happen, now it's every single person because now every athlete is going to want to get paid, especially when you talk about recruiting. Look, I've already – the whole transfer, the free transfer rule, I'm not necessarily for it, but I get you're fighting a losing battle on that. You allow that along with this. This is snowballing. There's a tremendous snowball effect where, it's 25 guys now where they can make some money off their T-shirt sales. Now you allow people to give them money, Nike money. You talk about car dealers and all these other guys that are at these schools. You talk about in Columbus, Ohio, all the supporters they have there. They're allowing to give them money for their business because they like their likeness and things like this because they want them to be in a commercial. This is not good. This is not going to end well.
And after all this knowledge we just put out here, we're going to end it on the most serious note. And I think JP's getting this vibe as well. Think about it if this was 5 or 6 years ago, when Ohio State with Joe Burrow and Justin Fields at Georgia, when those people went out and bought their jerseys or bought their T-shirts that said, "Go Justin," and then realized that now all those shirts have to go to Africa to some village. Just ruins it all. We're coming back for more.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
3-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
From first take to your radio.
Zion, 16 games. Okay, how many games do they have left? About 20, 22 games. All right, so he ain't gonna even reach 40 games. Damn it, I mean, this first year in the NBA, which he's getting paid for, it's like a college season to do. Give a damn about no back-to-back. You're 19 years old. 19 years old. All right, figure it out.
1 to 2 weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight
it's up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
2 a.m. love, gotta keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't talking now. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna dine in the 6. But when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell no, been waiting too long.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Chad Brillante, JP on the other side, getting set to go for a weekend. A lot of people getting their beach gear together. You could just see, I'm not a meteorologist, and I'm not one of those guys. How I do weather is like the guys, the cavemen. Like I walk outside and look at the clouds. That's, I mean, really. You could just look at your phone, bro. There's apps. Yeah, I understand that, dude.
Your phone, no, but that phone actually is set up where it tells you right now. Like
it does. No, 74 degrees. It helps a ton right now.
And there's like a sun on it.
Yeah, it's getting dark outside. Half moon. But I will say, 74 degrees and sunny. Yeah, that's good. But at the same time, you know, how ridiculous would it be if this week it just poured down rain for 3 days? It's not. I mean, I'm not wishing that upon, like, don't you put that on us, Ricky Bobby. No, like, I understand. People want to get out there, get a bushwhacker, sit out there.
Just
be safe.
Just so good.
You know, when I say this, you could still make a bushwhacker at your house and sit in your back porch. But it's social distance, be safe, but enjoy the weather. Get out there and enjoy it and be safe and smart about it. 850-623-13. I'm not, because based on the bridge itself, unless we go out there Friday night after the show, I'm not messing with that, what it's going to be like. So,
well, beach closes 30 minutes after sunset.
Yeah.
And then opens back up 30 minutes before
When I was
sunrise.
one of the hosts with Blab TV with the Blue Angel show, when we did it on the beach, we left at 4:30 to get out there, and we still had to wait. So, I mean, and we had a free parking spot at the Hilton. So, being very careful about that. I will say, though, to the conversations, and we had Jeffrey D. just text in a few minutes ago. I can't wait when we get everything back to normal, where we have people in the studio and have an opportunity to have all of our hosts back here. But, you know, we were talking about the 25 people that right now, and I think I'm highballing that number. I would say there's 3 or 4 in NCAA football and about probably 3 or 4 in college basketball.
Well, it depends on your local area, too.
It depends your area. But overall, you're talking about a handful of guys that the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball would deem worthy of putting on billboards, T-shirts, brand, and making them a big deal. You can custom make a jersey if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan with a guy that, you know, was a starting offensive tackle like Jawan Taylor. He had a good season. But not too many people are going to get that if you just go to NFL Shop right now, or if you go there. And he was one of the best pickups last year in the draft, what he did. He did a great job out of Florida. The difference is there are a few guys we know their name. But if we do open up the door, everybody, you're gonna have cash committees. You're going to have groups of guys, a lot of rich alumni, getting together and saying, all right, you know what? We got a 6'3", 270-pound linebacker coming off the edge. This guy looks like a Big Dad Ray Lewis coming out here. Man, let's make sure Peter Boulware back in the day for Florida State. Let's go ahead and give him 30 G's for a puppet show. My kids are doing a puppet show, and I needed somebody to come to town. This guy, we can convince them that he's the next star of our school. Give him $30,000. Give him a couple handshakes. And I think he's going to be a dog, boys. What do you think? And they clap, and then you move on to the next guy on your recruiting board. And you're going to have these things going on. Heck, someone asked me to do a puppet show for $30. Sorry, but when it comes down to this, you're going to have people. Every person's going to get it. Is going to have money coming to them.
The thing
is, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to open up Pandora's box where this thing's going to get completely out of control.
If you do this, if you're allowing these guys to get this kind of money,
Alabama will pay somebody to be a kicker.
An actual kicker. They still won't do that. But you have to give these guys some kind of financial help then, like financial advisors and people like that. These kids, listen, if you give a kid $1 million and he's 18 years old, I'm sorry, but if I was 18 years old or 17 years old, 19 years old or whatever, and you gave me $1 million, I'm not going to know what to do with it. I can tell you the first thing that I want to do is go get those things that I've been thinking about that I see everybody else getting, these nice cars and do this all the whatever. It's not, you can't just say, well, they can just put it in the bank or whatever. These kids aren't just going to do that. And remember, some of these kids don't have parents. Look at Javon Kinlaw, was homeless for some of his life. These kids don't have the outlet that other kids do. So just because you lived a good life, listen, I lived a good life. I lived up in the country. I worked farming, things like that. It was a little bit different, but I still had a great life. I still had parents. I still, father allowed me to go play travel ball and things like this. We weren't rich, but we weren't hurting. That's the way I look at it. From some of these people are coming out of poverty-ridden areas. Some of them don't have the parents. Some of them things happened. Some of them, everybody's got a different story. If you are going to allow this to happen, then the NCAA needs to implement and say, you know what, then we have to provide you with some kind of financial advisor. We need somebody to talk to you about this. We need to lay out a plan because they need to be successful because this can get out of hand as well. Look, you've seen big athletes. They get that big paycheck, and all of a sudden, people come out of the woodworks. Hey, what's up, cuz? You remember me?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to happen to these athletes, too. Think about the 18-year-old kid. Are you kidding me? You think you give him $1 million because he's an offensive lineman, and you think that people aren't going to come out of the woodworks? You think he's going to get 1 million new friends on Facebook and Instagram and everything else?
If there ever is a time to have this conversation, it's now, because we're living a life where essentials are open, and people go, well, that's crap because I'm essential. But a big group of people and other people said, well, you agree. I told you today, I sat there and tried to cut my hair. Disastrous. But at the same time, to me, haircuts should be essential. You've seen this bird's nest, but they're not right now.
Seen mine.
And it's hard to social distance. So they're not.
Ponytail.
But right now, we're in the biggest time of our life of what's essential and not. What you're talking about right now is these athletes that say don't get paid. Every athlete that gets a scholarship in football has their essentials taken care of. Where they live, they got rooms for free. What they eat. I sat next to guys like Josh Sitton and Brandon Marshall, 6'5" receiver, right there when we had all the classes because I was still with baseball. And we would go in there to the meal plan and 4th and 5th swipes and whatever they wanted. These guys don't buy into Shabazz Napier garbage. They can eat unless the concession stand was broken up there in Swords, Connecticut. They were fine. Unless maybe their chef was on a lockout. But outside of that, everybody's fine in college eating. They eat, and they eat even some more. And then they've got dietitians that work with these top-tier schools, and they're okay. So all of their essentials are paid for. Their travel, their meal, their books, their plan. So the things that aren't essential, you're giving a bunch of cash for people to go out there. And you don't think more kids are going to be popping bottles at the club, and they're going to be going and getting their girlfriend stuff that they really can't afford and getting themselves into more trouble. Look, man, I can get another 30 G's. I can get another 30 G's for this watch, I swear. I'm wanted that bad. These high school kids, they're saying, man, I've already got 4 guys that have given me $100,000. You're going to have kids getting killed over this kind of stuff. You're going to have kids getting into some real murky waters that is going to take them in path of drugs and a lot of other things that they wouldn't be able to touch because they didn't have the cash or they didn't have the resources to do that. I lived in Vegas for 2.5, 3 years, and I wasn't rich, but as a bartender and also a guy with the velvet rope that was a VIP and it talked and took care of people as sort of one of those guys, a liaison, I guess you can say, to groups of people. Well, some of those people that were in those groups, we didn't talk what happened behind the velvet rope, but there was a lot of young people and celebrities and other things that you could tell are living a type of life that we don't talk about on the news every day. The Dennis Rodman stories that we hear on or Michael Jordan saying the whole team was having Coke parties. You don't think kids in high school and these that just got handed 100 G's and every kid in that school is aware of it? He's not going to be the one coming in like Santa Claus with a sack of Goldschlagers and Jaeger to the parties and doing things where he gets himself in trouble. It's going to happen at an increased rate across the board. We're opening up a door for these kids that need to learn, but they also know, hey, dude, I can't make that mistake because I got a scholarship to go play football at the University of Alabama or the University of Florida. I can't do this. Now you're saying, man, if it don't work out here, if they drop my offer, somebody else is going to pay me 50 G's, 100 G's, $500,000, because look who I am, man. Have you ever seen me throw a football? It's going to be that way everywhere, and it's only going to get worse. This is a horrible idea. It's a terrible idea what they're doing right now.
One injury away, and that's why we've seen athletes, even guys, grown men, and this is not everybody. Look, there's some guys that are 18 years old that have grown up, that their parents would help them take care of the money, things like that, or they would have somebody there, putting that money aside for later on and investing, whatever it may be. But the majority do not have that, and all it's going to take is, look, God forbid something happens, one guy gets mixed up, and look, like the recruit from Louisville gets killed down in Orlando. He was shot. You have no idea what happened there, but a guy gets mixed up. That stuff's going to happen more.
All the time.
That's what I'm saying that this is. If you're going to allow them to get money like this, you need to give them support to understand how to deal with this kind of money. This is not your $10 an hour job you were working. You're giving them, no matter if it's $1 million or like you were talking about 100 G's or 5,000, whatever, give them some guidance in this. Look, when I went to UWF, one of the first classes we had to take was our time management, and just basically like a life course where they talked about everything that you were going through as a student athlete. Okay, this is what's going to change compared to high school to now. This is how you're going to have to balance this, and this. You're going to get this, and everything. It showed you everything. I love that class for people that are like, oh, it's a waste of time. I actually learned a lot from it just because from a time management perspective. You're going to have to do that from I guess, financial perspective for these guys, because you have no idea who's going to get money.
And they don't have the time, and they're not going to get the right people advising them.
This is the NCAA is just going to say, go ahead.
And no offense, and he seems to be living a legit life, but it's going to be people like Deion Sanders and stuff coming to Florida State and telling these kids, like, hey, this is what you need to do. And then some kids could be like, yeah, but Deion, you just pulled away in like a drop top right there with 32s, and you'd be like, yeah, that's true. So they're going to see things, and that's not going to be fair for these kids. You think for 2 seconds these star athletes are all going to have tea with the queen? I mean, come on, stop living under a rock and realize what's going to happen here when you hand a kid who's 17, 18 years old legitimately and legally $100,000, $120,000. Because right now, if they get paid, those guys say you better keep this under the bed, or the big bad monster is going to get you, and that's me going to jail because of this violation. So nobody says a word if they get paid right now. And it happens, but even DeAndre Ayton's like, I didn't know about the money. You didn't know about Sean Miller saying there was $100,000 handed you? Like, you didn't know that existed? Who, me? We all know it, but we sort of turn a blind eye, and the coaches go down because we all understand what happens in this world. We're smart enough to use common sense to understand that. This is just going to open it up. We do have to go to a break.
But real quick, I know we got to go to a break, but this is one thing to mention as well, is you give these guys this money, they're going to protect them. It's all going to be all about them, not the team anymore. I don't care if that team is paying them. It's going to be completely about them. It's just going to change the whole dynamic and everything.
That's not how business works.
This all started with a tuck rule, by the way.
It's all the Oakland Raiders' fault.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19. For here at ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. At the 1900 Summer Games in Paris, live pigeon shooting was an actual event. The event actually entailed hundreds of pigeons being released in front of the competitors, who sat back and slaughtered them. I don't think that would fly today. In further proof that they don't make them like they used to, Cleveland Indians pitcher Ray Caldwell recorded a complete game against the Philadelphia A's in 1919. After he was struck by lightning in the middle of the 9th inning, Caldwell shook it off and got the final out for the win. That's your Ridiculous Facts. I'm JP. JP here with Talk Football and the Sports Drive. At ESPN Pensacola, we're hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion and NFL Hall of Famer Derek Brooks.
The Super Bowl, and they're trying to win it for us. 3rd down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon, throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 30. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25. 20. Derek Brooks all the way.
This is former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Washington High School alum Derek Brooks. You listen to ESPN Pensacola.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
Everywhere, ain't got a print a resume. Take out, talk crazy, I pull up underlay. RP to Nate, dog, I had to regulate.
Public
service announcement.
Welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. And we're, living here for now about 8 or 9 years. We've had a chance to cover. I've been on Radio Row, been down in the practice field covering the Senior Bowl for about 7 of those 9 years, and interviewed the Braxton Millers and guys like DJ Reader and tons of guys. The mama and kid interviews are the coolest thing in the world. Like DJ Reader saying the reason why he's in the NFL today is his third helpings of his mom's maple mac and cheese with bacon on it. Oh, just see it. He weighs 340 for a reason. He played baseball at 340 too. So the guy's got that extra mac and cheese in a baseball type of body. You know what I'm saying? We know those athletes. I played with Prince Fielder as a kid. But I will tell you, though, that not one of those athletes, and that is the actual poll that you want to take. Like if you want to take a poll of, is Bravo your favorite TV show, you probably should go to women between the ages of 45 and 70 that want to be Real Housewives. Probably shouldn't go to 17-year-old males in high school. Not going to get a huge audience of that. So the difference is, this is the prime example for that conversation we're having. Athletes that have gone through successful, that are about to make that next leap into the pros as sort of icons of their school, and now they're getting that chance to be first, second rounders in the NFL draft. Not one of those guys throughout the 3, 4, 5 years they were at school, not one of them off the record, because we have conversations with the guys off the record too. Not one of them ever said, man, I would have been really cool to get a lot more money. Because they knew if they worked their tail off under that free scholarship they were getting that was worth $51,000 per year to an average person, with all the amenities, the quote essentials paid for, that they were going to be okay in the pros making that bonus. They were taking out the Lloyds of London, the $10 million insurance policies like Jadeveon Clowney anyway. So if they did get hurt, they had themselves set up a pretty good fund that the schools are taking out for them. The schools can take out those insurance policies where you can't do that if you're going to the G League as an individual. Those things aren't cheap either. So these kind of things are fought for people, once again, fighting with outside that want to see things get changed to push their own agenda and look like a hero. Because every mom and dad and parent and kid, when they bring this up, if I was in the same boat, they're going to go, yeah, man, woohoo, yeah, got to get paid. Nobody's going to fight against it when they're asked because they want more cash. The stimulus, think about what you read on social media when the stimulus checks were getting mailed out. Not one person's like, even though this probably isn't enough for my business to succeed, I am going to kindly decline my $1,200. People are like, woo, 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 just lost my job, just lost my house, but got $1,200. What? Like, people were just, it's America. Everybody's going to want the money for their kids, for their brand, for the thing, but it's not the right thing to do. People know that. That's why the real ones haven't been fighting against it. It's something we need to understand, and the NCAA is opening up something they shouldn't today. 850-623-1330 is the number to be part of the show. When we come back, short break, and we'll come back and talk some more of the headlines from the day.
Well, it's time to social distance in the perfect setting. Tiger Point Golf Club in Gulf Breeze puts the safety of their members and guests as their #1 priority. Each golfer has their own wiped-down individual cart as you play in paradise, overlooking a waterfront view for a round that costs $29 to play. Check it out for yourself. Go to tigerpointgolf.com and check out daily specials and all the precautionary measures they have taken to make sure you are safe during COVID-19. Call 932-1333 and book your tee time today at Tiger Point.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this. And as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Still have time right now. It is the Elite Eight, the brackets for greatest Pensacola athlete of all time, as we're getting set for what should be a great Final Four. Right now, already one guy moving on. You think that he'll like that response, by the way?
He'll like that one. Better get on your way, though. That's a yikes.
One of my best friends is he's got a nice little car pad, and he said he's got the hookup going on out there. Just quick 10-hour drive down to Miami, 10 hours back, and getting myself a free oil change maybe. So I don't know. I haven't taken out a calculator, but I'm almost 100% that that would be a bad investment for me. A lot of places around here, shop local, that could do that, and the wear and tear on the car. Let's get back to the conversation we were having, though, on what's going on right now with the greatest Pensacola athletes. We're still right now in the Elite Eight. Currently, Don Sutton is going up against Justin Gatlin, and this has been a ditty going on right now. It's been a pretty solid matchup. Currently, Justin Gatlin does lead the way. He is sitting with 66% of the vote against 34% for Molino's own Don Sutton. But, you got the world's fastest man against a Hall of Fame baseball player. This is a good one. We still got some time. But the winner of this matchup will move on to take on Roy Jones Jr. Tomorrow is going to be a fun one right there. You know it's tomorrow, right?
That's Derek Brooks and
Bubba Watson.
Bubba Watson.
That's a match. That's going to be.
Yeah,
that's a boxing match, right? That's going to be tomorrow. Remember, you go to our Facebook page and vote for this for greatest Pensacola athlete in our bracket. We're down now to 6 remaining. It looks like Justin Gatlin, more than likely, it's not official yet, but Justin Gatlin will be moving on as a 4 seed to take on the number 1 seed overall in Roy Jones Jr. And then the next 2 days, we're going to have the matchups with Derek Brooks versus Bubba Watson and Emmett Smith versus Fred Robbins. So it should be some fun ones right there. It's brought to you by our friends at Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles in Gulf Breeze. You can check them out. They still have all the memorabilia you need to get yourself a perfect gift.
Anything and everything.
Everything you need.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Coins, they'll praise everything for you. Right now, you might be, honestly, this is one of these real conversations. You might be hurting and thought those old cards that your dad gave you, the Jimmy Fox or the Babe Ruth, like you needed to hold on to them. But now you need to take those 1940 baseball cards that your grandparents sent for one day for the emergency fund for now and might need to take it down. They'll praise it. They'll give you an honest look. They're not going to try to shice you. They're going to get you a deal that, hey, we can give you $1,000 for these cards, things like that. Or, hey, we're not taking this, but we can get you hooked up with this. They're great at what they're doing down there. And honest people, hard-working people, and check them out. Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles right there in Gulf Breeze. Also, our second round brought to you by our friends at Tiger Point Golf Club. You've been hearing the ads. They're wiping down all the carts. Play golf for in the $20 range right there. Awesome. Social distance, get some exercise, and go play a beautiful course. Got 18 sweet. It's right there on the bay, right there on the water. I got a perfect view when I hit a couple duck hooks, right there on the water.
Did you literally hit the ducks, though?
No.
All right. That's good.
Been better. Would have stayed in play. Sorry. EPA's like, you son of... No, I Wouldn't have taken the 2 strokes. But I have to say, it is get down to Tiger Point and play. Perfect place this weekend. Look, you think everybody's going to the beach? Perfect time for those people to swoop on in and play a perfect round at Tiger Point and not have to mess with those 2-hour crowds. Just saying. And also social distance better than anyone else. It's the perfect place to social distance. So thanks again to Tiger Point Golf Club, our second-round sponsor. A couple minutes left right now. Cash or smash it. The Last Dance has lived up to expectations.
I think it's a little like a little bit more, but I get it. I guess I was expecting more just because there was nothing else either.
We still have. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that the next 6 episodes are going to be better.
Well, I'll say this too: is it's if this came out originally with no sports being canceled, things like this, we'd probably look at it differently and be like, yeah, this is good. But we want so much, and we wanted this to be more than what it truly is. So even if it gave us more, I don't think it would be as much as we wanted. So it changes the thought process there a little bit. But that's the one free throw that Shaquille O'Neal made in his career. How about that?
We have Ben Wallace for Shaq right now in the NBA Finals. What a blank show on the free throw line this game's going to be.
Yep, there you go, Shaq. That's the Shaq I remember.
And both of these coaches, by the way, there's so many coaches like Popovich that he doesn't care what you think at home, the hack-a-shacks and all. But literally the fourth quarter could be hacking Ben Wallace or hacking Shaq the entire fourth quarter of this. I love this Pistons team, by the way, though.
I thought you just said something else. Yikes.
No, Rip Hamilton.
Yeah.
All the guys out there. You look up and down that roster. You had Sheed, Tayshaun Prince, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton with the mask, fan of the opera. Some big white goon in there right now. Who's the guy guarding Shaq? This guy.
Big white goon.
Some foreigners, like 7'4" in there. Oh, that's Mehmet Okur.
Yeah, big white goon. I thought that was what.
Mehmet Okur right there. He hit the game-winning shot in Orlando. We booed the crap out of that guy. That's all the time we have for today's show. Miss you, Mehmet Okur.
Yep.
That's how we're ending it. Everybody's favorite player in the South.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, Sports Call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
This is Spain and Company on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
It's Spain and Company, Sarah Spain, Jordan Cornette, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Here's your SportsCenter headlines. Baseball Hall of Fame has canceled this summer's induction because of coronavirus. Derek Jeter, Marvin Miller, Ted Simmons, and Larry Walker will be inducted July 25th, 2021, along with any members elected as part of the class of 21. Free agent cornerback Jonathan Joseph tells ESPN's Josina Anderson he's signing with the Titans. He spent the past 9 seasons with the Texans. Clay Matthews is filing a grievance against the Rams over $2 million in unpaid guarantees, sources told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Matthews' 2-year deal with the Rams included $5.5 million in guarantees. He still owed a $2 million roster bonus. Matthews was cut by the Rams last month. Don't forget to tune into The Last Dance, a behind-the-scenes look at the 90s Chicago Bulls dynasty. The series continues this Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And listen to the Wrap-Up podcast hosted by Jalen and Jacoby immediately following the broadcast, presented by State Farm and AT&T. Available wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Sarah Spain, Jordan Cornette, we are about round 7 into our battle over the G League, and we welcome into this now 3-person fight ESPN college basketball analyst Jay Billis. Thanks for the time, Jay.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
All right, we're going to take less than 30. Let's go 20 seconds on the clock each to present you basically the argument we've made so far, and then we're going to let you chime in. Jordan Cornette, 20 seconds, go.
20 seconds. Well, I believe that the best route would be staying in college simply because the support group is present there that the G League does not have. You've got coaches, you've got academic advisors, you've got the works. And for the NBA that presents mental health to be of such high importance, where is that when you're putting them in essentially a biodome these young athletes and putting them off, sectioning them away from the other members of the G League? How are they getting better? What are they doing socially in that aspect that is being missed from college? And as for security, when you fall out and it doesn't work, you have the ability to fall back on a scholarship.
All right,
in
that's
college.
enough.
You don't have that with the G League.
All right, 20 seconds on the clock for me. It's all about options, and options are the best thing for these players. If college is still the best route for them, but by all means do it. If they want to make money off of the talent right now and start preparing themselves for the life of being a professional, then they've got coaching and money managing and the opportunity to start that career right away without having to go through the old tried and true way of college. And if that's best for them, then that's the option that should be available to them.